Hello guys, welcome back to another video here on the channel. I'm Ash, aka Brommer18. Thank you for joining me in another video. It is another tactics video where we do recreate tactics, but this time there is a little bit of a spin on it. So, subscribers will probably know that I'm currently doing a realistic career mode series as Borussia Dortmund on the channel. Now, obviously we're very big on tactics, and I've had a few people ask me in the comments of the videos, can they talk me through, can I talk them through the tactics and show you what they are as well, and give a little bit of a thing on them. So I really thought I'd do it in a separate video because obviously it's too much to really fit into an episode. It will really elongate the process. So we've got a couple of formations, and the one I want to show you today is the 3-4-1-2. I'm also going to do another video on the 3-4-3 as well, but this one is the 3-4-1-2. So you know, a little bit different, but something that I do want to do. And if you haven't gone and seen that career mode yet and that series, then make sure to go and check it out. I'll leave links everywhere. There'll be cards, there'll be an end screen, there'll be a link to the playlist in the description, so do go and check that one out as well. Right then, so it is a 3-4-1-2 as we've spoken about. There's a couple of differences. Obviously we've got these wing backs as right and left midfielders. You guys watching this have probably seen my tactics videos before, in which case you know I like to push them up instead of having them as wing backs, because then they do get a bit further forward. But because you can have them on comeback on defence, it means that they will bed back in and form a back five. In the middle, however, we have a slightly different change, because usually these two are CDMs and then we have the cam here. This time though, we actually have Bellingham at left centre midfield, and the reason being is to try and recreate his role better, but also just to suit him. You know, this system that I made, it was inspired by Marco Rose, but it was really about trying to get a fine tune out of all the players as well. You know, utilising our personnel, what we had available, just trying to get the best out of the players that we have at our disposal. And with Bellingham, we're looking to get that box-to-box role as best as we can. And we also have the fact that he's just very all-rounded, which plays into that box-to-box role as well. So with him, you can really get him into the game a little bit more. He scored a few goals for us this season in the save already as well, which is very, very important, and also reflective of the role he's playing in. You know, in defensive midfield, he wouldn't be quite as important to the team, and he wouldn't be able to really flourish. So we have him at centre midfield. So you've got a good balance there, really, because you've got the defensive midfielder, you've got the central midfielder, and then the cam as well. And you're really trying to fill all areas. Then we've also got the two strikers up front, and you know, they're very, very deadly. They've scored a lot of goals for us in this career mode already. We'll talk about them a little bit later on when we get into the instructions. So let me talk to you about the tactics. It's more of a counter-pressing system than a gegen-pressing system, and that is very much, again, a Marco Rose tactic. Now, I have sort of toyed with the idea of changing this to constant pressure. It's something that I am actively looking into. Really want to see how it goes. But for now, we do go after press after possession loss. Now, what I will say is they're relatively passive on FIFA, in not all the time, but sometimes. And so what I do have to do is often instigate the team press on the D-pad. You press down and then left on the D-pad, and that will instigate a team press for about a few seconds anyway. And that will help to really push players on if you're looking to press teams when they're playing themselves into trouble, missed touches, missed passes, etc. With the width, we have it on low. Always have it on low. That is pretty much a basic principle in football. When you're defending, you should be compact. You should be limiting the amount of space. We have it on 18. It doesn't make too much of a difference whether you have an 18, whether you have on 10. To be honest with you, because in the one video we did move it down to 10. Again, it's really what you prefer. I just had it on 18. I just always go for an even number. That's an OCD issue, but generally, as the basic principle, you just want them to be narrow. On the depth, we have this on 80. Again, one, it's looking to really complement our counter-pressing style, but also what it does is it plays into the fact that for the majority of our centre-backs, give or take one or two, such as Hummels and Zagadou, they're quite fast. You know, with the likes of, we played Akanji, we played Chan, we play Namdi Collins. These guys are fast, and so that plays into and complements that high line well. You find us being able to cover and really deal with over-the-top through balls a bit better when it is on 80. In terms of offensively, slow build up, allowing us to play out from the back. Again, inspired by Marco also, but I think it really would have been the idea anyway. The fact that we're playing a free back allows us to do it a bit more effectively, because what it does is it gives you more options. You've got the 3 centre backs, you've got 2 wing backs, you've got a defensive midfielder, a centre midfielder. There's a lot of options for you to be able to play out from the back there, and so that really helps. And with chance creation, this is forward runs. The most important thing is that we're really looking at the likes of Haaland and Marlon here to get them into the game, to utilise their strengths and to play to their strengths. And that's what we talked about earlier, just trying to fine tune the system just to get the best out of the players, play to their strengths. With Haaland and Marlon and other players as well, such as Reina, their movement, their pace, that is the most important thing that you've got to exploit. And so with forward runs, you are able to do that, as well as setting it on the instructions as well. With our width, we have this at 70, so it's wide, and that's to really spread out the opposition and your team as much as possible, because what it does is, let's say you are wide, you've got a player on each touchline. So in this case, it would be, I think it's Meunier and Guerrero, yeah. You've got these guys on the touchline. You're able to spread the play, which is also something that has really come on in this FIFA. I think part of that is the hypermotion technology. You're able to spread the play easily. You'll find them getting into space a lot. And also, if the opposition are going to try and deal with that, it will mean them stretching out, in which case gaps are going to form in the central areas, and the likes of Haaland and Marlon and the attacking midfielder will absolutely destroy the opposition due to those gaps and really have a field day. So you get the best of both worlds with this system, because obviously you've still got area players in the central areas as well. Players in the box, this is up to 8. 4 in the box, so 2 strikers, a cam and either a central midfielder, which would be Bellingham playing that box-to-box role, or one of the wing backs. It will usually be one of the wing backs crossing in, so the chances are it will either be the other one or Bellingham getting into the box as the 4th man. And finally, when the corners and free kicks, these are always on 4. Any of you who've watched my tactics videos will know these are pretty much always on 4, so that one's pretty standard. Onto the instructions. Kobel is playing as a sweeper keeper and comes to crosses. Again, as I just said with the corners and free kicks, that's something that's fairly standard across the majority of our tactics. Sweeper keeper complements that high line that we are going to play. Now, obviously, they don't do it a whole lot, but you do set it to it anyway. And come to crosses as well, just relieves a little bit of pressure. I've noticed, if you are playing on career mode, the AI are starting to cross the ball in a little bit more. So that's a welcome addition, and it means that he will be called into play a little bit more. So it does just help you in those areas as well. The 3 centre-backs have no instruction changes. Now, what I did talk about in one of the recent episodes, episode 4, I think it was how these I'd actually changed to aggressive interceptions, and then I actually had Hummels on step up as well. And the reason being why I did that was because on FIFA, at the moment, as I record this, there was a big problem with the defensive line just being so deep, literally allowing the opposition to work the ball forward, and the defensive line ends up in its, not only in its own box, but probably about 6 yards out from its own goal. Really annoying, very frustrating, struggling to deal with it, and it's how I concede a lot of goals. I tried to combat that by putting on aggressive interceptions. I wanted Hummels to step up and mark, and I knew that the faster centre-backs around him would be able to cover for him when he did step up. It didn't really work though. It did just leave us out of position a little bit more, a lot of players everywhere. So we resorted back, and then I really noticed a difference. We did calm it down again, and defensively we looked a little bit better. So we do keep these on normal. And then we've got Chan playing that defensive midfield role. He's on stay back while attacking and also man mark as well. On top of that, he's also on aggressive interceptions. And that plays into the part of trying to make him that aggressive defensive midfielder. We want him to be trying to put his body on the line, and aggressive interceptions plays into that. It doesn't drain the stamina as much as it has in previous years. It still does have an effect on stamina. You know, it's not as clean as what it would on normal, but you get a better upside as a result. So it does reflect that role of that aggressor, that ball-winning midfielder a lot more. Stay back while attacking, of course. On man mark as well. Doesn't work overly great on this, but I do try and do it anyway. I have considered changing that to cut passing lanes actually, and you know, we're probably going to do it very, very soon in the career. So do bear in mind that as well. If you want to make that tweak, then feel free. Go ahead if you think you can get better out of the system. And then with defensive position, it's on cover centre. Now, the reason why I'm doing this, and you might be wondering why when we've only got wing backs, it's because actually what I want is I want to manually bring players out when I need to. I don't want them being dragged out, because I'm really noticing a lot of space forming in the middle, and it's just a way of combating the gameplay really and trying to deal with it defensively as best as I can. Meanwhile, onto Bellingham, a few different instructions as you can see. Because he's the central midfielder, obviously he has different options. His attacking support and his support on crosses are both unbalanced, and again, it's because I talk about him being a box-to-box midfielder, but I don't want him committing all the time. Because I don't want to be leaving gaps all the time. Otherwise, we're going to be getting counted on quite regularly, even with 4 players back. Still can prove a problem. So I want him to really switch between the two. Have a bit of variety in his game. Occasionally he'll arrive. Occasionally he'll be more of a pivot, and possession will rest on him and the likes of Royce as well. And so it just allows him to do that. With positioning freedom, it's actually on free roam. And again, the main part of this is not so much in the attacking phase, but it's more about playing out from the back. On free roam, it's a lot better. He shows for the ball more because of that role and that instruction. So that really helps him to do that. Again, it makes him a more all-rounded player because he becomes a bit of a deep line playmaker in the defensive third and the build-up phase. And then obviously when you get forward, he really turns into that box-to-box midfielder a bit more. Bear in mind his work rate does play into that as well as a high, and that's very important that you do have that sort of high work rate player on top of that. With the 2 wing backs, they are both on the same instructions. First off, come back on defence. Very important to make sure that they are tracking back. And chance creation, stay wide as well. We already talked about we want them both on the touch lines. They really spread the play. Makes it so much easier to build up because you've got that option to switch and to go out wide. You find a lot of times, and we've seen it in the highlights a lot of times on my career, how we're able to just ping balls out to them, and that really instigates a lot of attacks. They find a lot of space, so really important that we get them staying wide. But on support runs, it's unbalanced. And that's also very vital to this role because it allows you to get that variety and that balance between coming short, playing out from the back, and then getting in behind as well. Because when they're always on getting behind, it makes it harder for you to play through the thirds and to really get it out of your defensive third because they're just too high at the pitch. So with balance, you get that nice variety. And support on crosses is also on getting to the box across. But bear in mind, because I'm on the tactics, we set it to 4 players in the box. They won't always be getting in the box depending on who else has arrived in the 18-yard area. So on to Royce. He's on comeback on defence as well. Make sure you've got him tracking back. It's really the strikers who won't be doing that. And in support on crosses, he's on getting to the box as well. And again, we spoke about that just. He'll be one of the 4 really getting in. It's important just to try and get those numbers into the box as much as possible. Now, possession will generally rest on Bellingham or Chan, should he or when he does arrive into the box. So that's very important as well. Positioning freedom. You might have thought it's drift wide or free roam, but actually this is on stick to position. And the reason being is that, well, we're going to come on to it. In fact, we might as well come on to it now. With the strikers, they are actually both on drift wide. So if we've got Royce drifting wide as well, you're going to find all of a sudden the central areas is where is the vacant area. It's very vacant with lots of space in it, not enough of your options in there. So you've got to make sure that we've got that balance and still got an option in the middle. Again, with him getting into the box as well, it complements that when they have drifted wide and they're in a crossing situation. So with the 2 strikers, as we say, drift wide. And the reason why we've got them drifting wide is, again, playing into getting behind as well. So we might as well talk about both of them in one. Just to utilise that pace, that movement, that energy that they have. That's what they're so good. You know, when I came down to it and I was setting this tactic and I was creating it, you know, I really thought, how are we going to get the best out of Haaland? And Marlon as well, but mainly Haaland. How do we replicate his role, what he does in real life so well? We just see him driving into space, constantly getting onto the ball in those half wide areas, those half spaces, and utilising that absolute just powerful run. And this is really the best way in order to do that. And, you know, their goal record speaks for themselves. We spoke about it in episode 4. I did show it in episode 4, how many goals they were getting. You know, Haaland at that time had 18 in 19, I think it was. Just incredible. Absolutely incredible. So we're really getting the best out of them in this formation. And with basic... Well, with defensive support, we have it on basic for Marlon, but then we have it on stay forward for Haaland. So Marlon, I don't mind tracking back occasionally, whereas Haaland, we always want staying up front. He's that out ball, he's that complete forward, and we just don't want him losing stamina, to be honest. Don't want him wasting it at all. Keep him up there, and yet him utilise that stamina and that energy to unleash himself on the opposition defence. So, yeah. That's really it, guys. If you got any questions about the tactic, then do let me know in the comment section. I'll do my best to get back to you. Make sure to go and check out the series as well if you haven't done so already. One that I'm really enjoying at the moment, and there's a very long way to go on it, so please do give it a look. We're also going to get a video out on the other tactic as well. We'll see if we go back here. We've also got this 3-4-3/3-4-2-1 tactic. So I'm going to do another video on that as well. I didn't want this one to be too long. It would have been, you know, what, 35 minutes to 40 minutes if I'd have done both tactics. So really wanted to do one per video. So do have a look out for that as well. Bit of a different system, bit of a different approach. So that's very, very good. Give me a follow on Twitter if you haven't done so already. The link is in the description, as well as links to affiliate links to all of my gear, my mic, my controllers, my consoles, capture card, gaming PC parts, all that stuff. They are affiliate links, so I do get a kickback, and it is a great way to support the channel. Don't forget to check out Aniba. Use the code BROMA18 to get a 3% discount on all of your purchases. A great digital marketing place. The links are in the description. And subscribe to the channel, but ring the bell so that you get notifications every time I upload a video. Don't forget to drop a like on the video if you've enjoyed it. That will really help me out. And on that note, I will finish it there. Thank you for watching, and until next time, I will see you soon.